There are moments in politics that feel like a fever breaking. Moments where the noise, the chaos, and the carefully constructed narratives suddenly fall away, leaving a stark, undeniable reality. We are living through one of those moments right now. For 3 weeks, we have been consumed by the Epstein scandal, or more accurately, the scandal of the Epstein cover-up. And the man at the center of it all, the man who built a political empire on being the voice of the people against a corrupt elite, is now engaged in the most transparent and desperate act of damage control we have ever witnessed. You're probably sick of hearing about it. But we have to keep talking, because what we are watching is not just a political fumble. We are seeing the systematic dismantling of a myth, and it's being done not by his enemies, but by the man himself. First, there was the hand wave, the classic Trump dismissal. Why is anyone talking about Jeffrey Epstein? Why does anyone care? This was followed by the predictable pivot to partisan warfare. It's a Democrat hoax. They invented Russiagate, and now they're inventing this. It's all fake news. When that didn't work, when he saw his own base, the very people who propelled him to power, refusing to swallow the lie, he turned on them. He attacked his own supporters, accusing them of doing the Democrats' work, effectively disowning anyone who dared to demand the truth. It was a shocking move, but it was only the beginning. Recognizing the rebellion in his ranks, he attempted a classic sleight of hand. He instructed his attorney general to ask a court to unseal grand jury testimony, a gesture towards transparency. But at the very same time, he flooded the zone, releasing a trove of files on Martin Luther King Jr., hoping the media and the public would chase that shiny object instead. It was a distraction, a hollow prop, just like the empty binders he gave to internet personalities at the White House months ago, a symbolic gesture of transparency with absolutely nothing behind it. And now, after all of that has failed, we have arrived at the final, most desperate gambit. The strategy is no longer to distract, but to resurrect a ghost. Now, Donald Trump's grand diversion is to tell everyone that he's going to arrest Barack Obama. He posted a fake, AI-generated video to Truth Social depicting Obama's arrest. People online called him a madman, a term of endearment in his world. But let's inject a dose of reality here. This isn't the act of a madman, it's the act of a coward. He is the President of the United States. He wields the real power of the state. His own home was raided by the FBI. He was brought before a court in Manhattan. The apparatus of state power has been used against him. He knows, better than anyone, that if he truly wanted to, he could order an investigation into Barack Obama. It could be a real video. He could bring charges against Obama, against Comey, against Clapper, against Clinton. He promised his base he would. Lock her up wasn't a suggestion, it was the central promise of his 2016 campaign. But he didn't do it then, and he isn't doing it now. Instead, he offers his base a digital fantasy, an AI-generated fiction of the justice they crave, while he actively obstructs justice in the real world. This isn't power, it's performance art. It's a puppet show for a base he clearly believes is stupid enough to mistake the shadow for the substance. His rationale? He's dragging us back 9 years, to the 2016 election. The New York Times reports that, under fire over the Epstein files, Trump is escalating his distract and deflect strategy, accusing Obama of treason. He's trying to relitigate a battle he already won, a war that ended almost a decade ago. Think about the absurdity of this. In the 2022 midterms, the consensus was that Trump needed to move past the 2020 election. Now, in 2025, he wants us to be outraged about the 2016 election.
Obama cheated on the election, and we have it cold, hard, blue, and it's getting even more so because the stuff that's coming in is not even believable. So, and you should mention that every time they give you a question that's not appropriate, just say, oh, by the way, Obama cheated on the election. You'll watch the camera turn off instantly.
Listen to the forced, nervous laughter from the people in the room. That is not the sound of genuine amusement. That is the sound of courtiers desperately trying to reassure a king that he isn't naked. His house is on fire. A recent CBS poll shows his support among 18 to 29-year-olds has cratered by 54 points, a direct result of this Epstein scandal. He is being roasted alive, politically. And his solution is to claim that if he talks about Obama, the cameras will turn off. It is a moment of profound delusion. No one is turning the cameras off. The cameras are trained directly on him, and they are capturing his every desperate, flailing move. The cameras turn off when he is asked about Jeffrey Epstein. When he flees from reporters, when he dodges questions, that's when the feed cuts. What do you think people care more about? That a political rival authorized a FISA warrant 9 years ago, an impeachment he beat, an election he won anyway? Or that he is, right now, in real time, using the power of the Department of Justice to protect a network of the most depraved and powerful pedophiles in American history? It's not a serious question. This brings us to the most painful part of this analysis, the man himself. We are watching a complete and total diminishment of a figure who once seemed larger than life. Think back to 2016. He was a shark, a bull, a force of nature who commanded attention and bent the entire political world to his will through sheer personality. Even in 2024, raising his fist after his conviction, there was a glimmer of that defiant warrior. Now, look at him. Pleading. Begging his supporters and his party, please, don't think about Epstein. Only think about Obama. This is what we're going to do, okay? The command is gone. The power is gone. It's been replaced by a weak, unconvincing, and frankly, stupid plea. Is anyone buying this? Are his own staff buying it? Or are they just trapped in the orbit of a collapsing star? This is where it becomes a story of self-immolation. The worst part isn't just that he's lying. It's that he knows he's lying. We know he's lying. And he knows that we know that he's lying. And he does not care. The social contract of a leader, even a flawed one, is completely gone. There is no attempt at persuasion, only a demand for submission to an obvious falsehood. It reveals a terrifying emptiness. Beneath the bravado, beneath the bombast, what is actually there? Is there a person inside? Have we ever seen a genuine moment of candor, of humility, of reflection? Or has it all been a character? A brand? The bravado seems to have been bravado for its own sake. It leads one to a conclusion that sounds like something a liberal pundit would say, but now feels undeniable. There is no conviction in anything other than himself. No patriotism, no loyalty to a cause, no deep belief in the movement he supposedly leads. When his own self-interest collided with the interests of his base and his country, he didn't hesitate. He chose himself. And so, the grand, epic story of Donald Trump seems to be ending not with a bang, but with a tragic whimper. They impeached him, they raided him, they convicted him, they dragged his name through the mud. He overcame it all. He stood against the entire establishment and won. And what was the one thing that could finally do him in? It wasn't the Democrats. It wasn't the deep state. It was himself. He is the author of his own demise, undone by a 2-week scramble to cover up his ties to the very swamp creatures he swore to destroy. The magic is gone. The man who said, "I am your voice," now sounds like just another lying, bullshitting politician. The charm has curdled into something insufferable. The jokey, off-the-cuff remarks that once seemed endearing now sound like the ramblings of a man who has lost the plot entirely. It is a spiritually crushing moment for many. For 10 years, Donald Trump has been a monumental figure in our lives. Love him or hate him, he stirred something. He was an emotional focal point for the hopes and fears of millions. And to see that figure reduced to this, so weak, so vulnerable, so hollow, is a tragedy. All the hopes that were attached to him, all the belief that he was different, it's all dissolving in the acid of this one, sordid scandal. I said a year ago that something was wrong. The rallies were monotonous, the energy was gone, he seemed to be going through the motions. But people have an incredible capacity for self-deception. When the whole group is cheering, it's hard to be the one with your arms folded. It's a challenge to remain objective. But now, the Epstein scandal, combined with his disastrous handling of it, has forced everyone to see what was lurking beneath the surface all along. The man who was supposed to be the antithesis of the corrupt political class is now indistinguishable from them, lying to our faces, telling us to look away from the crime and instead focus on an old, dead rivalry. And for the first time, even his most die-hard supporters are forced to roll their eyes and say, "Yeah, okay, man. Whatever. He's just like the rest of them." And he always was.